New business administration, we have resolution 5252.
So we're on.
Yes, go right ahead, dealing with the
No,
CARES Act that we discussed.
And we're dispensing for the second reading. We've identified a few more items, particularly in the information technology area, as well as fire and EMS for CARES Act, qualifying CARES Act expenditures, and also housekeeping on the appropriation of the funds that we have thus far received, so that they can be appropriated, expended, and accounted for.
Okay, anybody have any questions of 5252? Is there a motion to approve 5252 and dispense with the second reading?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. And 5253, a resolution declaring real and personal property as surplus and putting them on as dispensing the second reading. And I assume these are going to go on the internet for auction, some of them native.
Actually, no. The two items that we're dispensing of, one is the formal surplus resolution for 6908, so it can be sold. And the other one are for 3 ladders in the fire department that failed weight testing. And those will need to be scrapped. We won't sell the
So we're not,
ladders.
so are we having an internet auction?
No,
Oh,
it's just
okay,
a
so we
standard
take
ladder.
that out of the,
We could.
well, no,
I should have taken it out.
It doesn't matter.
It covers all the different
Yeah.
options.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions about 5253? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Okay. Anything else under administration at this time?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Mr. Palmer, good morning, sir.
Gentlemen, hello. We have resolution 5254, which is a nuisance for a 5-acre tract.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Palmer on 5254? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. And we also have 5255, which is a resolution to initiate the 2020-1 amendment that refines the regulations for animals under 5-acre lot size, which we have had some considerable discussion about.
Yeah, we had discussion on that. This also brings in words and appeals as requested for modification on procedures for non-conformance uses, which gives more power to the zoning inspector to do better averaging, keeps some people out of the process, as long as the modification is to the side or to the rear, not to the front of the non-conforming structure. So this will allow us to get into the process with regional planning and be back before you probably at the beginning of the year.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Palmer about 5255? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah.
Thanks,
Is
sir.
that all you have, sir?
But,
Got it.
I know, quarterly meeting, nothing this short, we'll get out of here.
Okay, anything else under, that's all under planning and zoning, I'm sure?
Yes, sir.
Moving on to the road to the park, we have a recommendation to approve the parking lot sealing and striping at Patricia Allen Park for lots 5 and 7, not to exceed $13,500, which does not include the crack sealing.
Yeah, so Tony asked me if we could get this done before the end of the year. These are the actual last 2 lots in the park that haven't been sealed and striped. So we're full circle. These will be the final ones, and we'll be ready to go back to the first one that we did for sealing and striping. So it's in the appropriations budget for 2020, and we need permission to execute the contract.
Is there a motion to execute the contract and get this work done at the park?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. Anything else for road and park? Police Department, we have a recommendation to make application for the annual load grant. Yes, sir.
Actually, I'd like to give you a little demo of what we're looking for this year. I always get jealous of Mr. Palmer gets to show you pictures of high grass and stuff. So, I wanted to take a moment to... This is a stop stick device. And the goal of this is whenever we have a police pursuit, is somebody tries to get in front of that car that's speeding away, get out by the roadway, highway, whatever it is, and try to throw this into the lane. And inside these triangular boxes are hollow needles. Those needles penetrate the tire, and then they deflate that tire. Not like an explosion, they deflate it slowly, trying to stop that pursuit in a controlled manner in some way. So when the police officer gets out to deploy this, he has to stand beside the roadway. You've got to watch for any regular cars going by, because if we throw it out too soon, they're going to run over it, and we're going to hit the wrong car and create a problem. So you've got to stay beside that roadway during the danger when that pursuit's coming toward him. Throws it out there at the last minute, tries to get the car to run over it, and then he has to stay there and then pull it back away for the police cars that are chasing in order to not deflate their tires. So it's pretty awkward. It requires the police officer to stand in the roadway or near it. One of the things we're facing now is they're actually taking the car that's being pursued. They're now actually trying to hit the police officer. If you take cover behind the car, which you usually try to park your car in the roadway a little bit and use that as cover, they're hitting that. Officer Grant from Springdale was killed this year doing just that on 275. She was trying to deploy a stop stick, and she was trying to take cover in her car when she was hit and killed out there. So this is has been kind of the stalwart for years. There's nothing been out. There have been some things in development, and because of some of that, some companies have now come forward with some additional things that we can take a look at. So there's a video I wanted to show, which is basically the police officer standing in harm's way beside the road, preparing to put out a stop stick, and there's going to be a car coming at about 100 miles an hour that he's trying to stop stick. You're going to see a couple cars go by. Those are innocents he's trying to avoid. He's going to get it into the roadway. That's the danger of what we do. It's what we ask our men and women to do when they go out on the street, is to stand in that roadway like that and try to deploy that. This is actually a civilian hitting the officer. This is in Dayton, occurred a few years back. And you'll see the officer trying to get out of the intersection deployed, and he's actually hit by a civilian car. Doesn't even get a chance to get to the bad guy's car yet.
Officers put their lives on the line every day. What you are about to see here, just one example. On-duty Dayton police officer Willie Cooper trying to lay down stop sticks to stop a vehicle. Unfortunately, as you see in this video, he is hit by that car, but he is doing okay, recovering from his injuries tonight. But those extreme measures to stop a car aren't anything new to police. They've been using stop sticks for years, and while they know the danger, they still use them. Elise Coulter shows us how officers are trained to use stop sticks and what other alternatives Dayton police are looking into.
This horrifying dash cam video of Officer Willie Cooper being hit by a car hits home for all law enforcement.
Officers will jeopardize their own safety in an effort to prevent, citizens from being hurt or killed.
Joe Wiesman is in charge of these recruits at the Dayton Police Academy. While today they're learning how to defend themselves in a fight, they're also taught how to properly deploy stop sticks.
There are stop stick training kits that we practice with.
Recruits also watch this training video.
It is effective to use a sidearm motion.
And the challenges and dangers surrounding stop sticks extend from local police to state troopers.
Officers have to be mindful and be ready to deploy or not deploy within seconds.
Seconds that can change a life, like in this dash cam video, but it's all a risk all law enforcement take willingly.
Just putting a uniform on in the morning or at night and going out to work, just putting that uniform on, poses a significant risk.
Dayton police are looking into alternatives like this, where officers wouldn't even have to step foot onto the road.
It comes out of essentially a suitcase. It's a hard case suitcase, so the officer deploys from a distance, remotely away from the vehicle.
Assistant Police Chief Bob Shavali says the new technology isn't even out yet and costs 5 times as much as the original stop sticks. But for him, the decision is easy.
$2,500 is peanuts compared to what an injured officer would cost the police department, let alone the death of an officer.
Reporting in Dayton, Elise Coulter, Fox 45 News.
Officer,
And the last quick video I want to show you is what we're looking at. There are basically three versions out now. There's one of the older versions that first came out. The newest version is actually enclosed in a box. The officer can get out and lay that box beside the roadway. He can arm the device. All the spikes are enclosed in that, so he can actually get out there, and if a civilian car hits it, it's not going to damage him. It's not going to hit their tires and create a problem. He takes a remote control. He can go up to 328 foot away from the impact area and deploy the device. The remote also allows him to press it again, to retract that back, to allow the police car to clear. And this is a promotional video from the company that we're looking at to buy these from. And you can see the distance. He can spread himself away from any impact area. So it will impact the bad guy's car and then retract for the police car coming in next. In the last 10 years, we have documented, we've been involved in 16 police chases. 5 of those, somebody was successful in getting a stop sticker from the car. 2 of those 5 ended in death. One was Sergeant Dooley. We were the second car in that chase that came through the township. The other one was Kirk Hensley's chase in the Middletown, where the guy was ejected from the car and was killed. So I'm asking the board to allow me to get the load money to buy 4 of those boxes for the well-being of our officers.
And what's the approximate cost of each box?
The old ones are about $500 a piece. The new ones are about $4,300. Heard Dayton reference that, you get into an officer getting hit and getting hurt, workers' comp issues are going to be way above that anyways, let alone God forbid get somebody killed.
Once they're used, can you use them again?
Yes, the spikes can be placed, they're battery operated, so you just keep them charged and deployed that way. Any other questions?
No, it sounds like a good use of the load money to me. You guys.
That's
Not as sexy as grass pictures.
Okay. What other departments are using these?
I haven't canvassed any other departments, sir. I've looked at our needs and the chases we've had in the past and felt that it's a necessity for us.
I would think Warren County Sheriff would want to have those.
I don't know what the sheriff does with his money in this department.
I don't have any idea. Any other questions for the chief about this? Okay, is there a motion to have the chief apply for the load grant? And I guess that's what you're asking for today?
Yes, sir.
Application with the use of this for these new stops.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Okay. Okay, anything else from the police department?
No, sir, that's all I have.
Okay. Fire district on the consent agenda, anything else, Steve, you'd like to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we do have the consent agenda next. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Staff updates. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to circle back to a conversation that was initiated at the work session that we talked about a couple of times. The sub-granting to schools, and where it was suggested that proportional distribution might be a good idea. Russ, thank you for pulling the numbers on those. And if you were absolutely correct, the population of the schools from our unincorporated area far exceeds the school population for both Wayne and Lebanon. Frankly, I was surprised how few households we actually have in the Wayne School District. I was under the impression that most of villages in Wayne Creek went to Wayne local, and that's not correct. Just the southeastern parts of the very last few sections really look like the only ones that are going to be going to Wayne local schools. So, are we looking at a strict proportional distribution proposal, or can we?
What are the numbers?
Ross, what were those? Let's pull them up.
Yeah, I have to go get them.
Oh, I can.
I remember there was 170 for the Wayne, and there was like 700 and some for Lebanon.
Yes.
And then like 12,000, around 11 or 12,000 for Springboro. That's homes. That's not students. That's homes.
And another idea that percolated up was sub-granting to businesses, using a model that the city of Springboro also used. Obviously, they placed a new trail, but they've already done one distribution of CARES Act back in April, CARES Act funds to businesses, and we could model something similar to it and set a cap for an individual business based on what their actual needs are, if they can justify them. So I thought that was a pretty decent idea too. We'd obviously have to have a ceiling for, first come, first served. So that's an idea that came across my desk in the last couple of days as well. The school district numbers, by the way, are 11,400 for Springboro, 786 for Lebanon, and 170 for Wayne. So you can see there's quite a disparity going towards the Springboro.
So trying to remember the conversation, so was there a particular amount that we were going to split? Have you determined that much out of the amount of money we're going to get in, which is obviously substantial? Are you going to take a third of that and split up, or 25%?
I mean, of the overall CARES Act funds that we're going to receive, I guess I would look to the board for some guidance there. I would think, frankly, we can make it a substantial give for those funds. So maybe half of it, $500,000 total. And however we wish to split it up, or however the board wishes to split it up, based on the households, you can make a solid argument to 2 to 1, even more than that. Something like that. But I think that would probably be my recommendation, is to make it a 2 to 1 to 1 in light of the proportional distribution, as long as the board believes that that's balanced enough.
So say that again. So how would you do that?
I would make it 2 to 1 to 1. So 200,000 to Springboro schools if they wish for it, 250. 125 to each of the Lebanon and Wayne local.
Let's take that a step farther. What's Lebanon going to do for us? Turtle Creek Township. I assume they're in the same, very similar situation.
I don't think Turtle Creek got quite as much funding as the township did. They used the local government LGF formula for the first.
And you think they intend on, for the Springboro people that are in Turtle Creek Township and attend Springboro schools, are they going to proportionally distribute the money back to us, or whatever they do? Very good question.
I can't say that. I do not know.
Well, and that's the only thing that makes me think that. I think we might be too high on you, 2 1 to 1 or whatever, if, quite honestly.
I 100% agree.
Okay.
But
We've got
I don't have a particularly great idea right now,
Yeah.
but I think we need to think about that.
With the ratio.
Yeah. And also, I'm going to go a step one. So the other, what other areas, and you probably already told me this, but what other areas qualify to get this CARES Act? The businesses in the community that qualify, and so we would think if we did 500,000 for schools, then the other 500 would go to businesses in the community, so to speak.
Well,
We've already dedicated a couple $100,000 to our own needs in-house.
Okay,
but
that's where I was
And-
headed.
There are
Yeah,
several
that's what we
$100,000.
Okay.
And there are some benefits to, thinking about how the CARES Act money can be spent. Some of it can be used to offset some of the salaries that was, for the officers and for the fire department as well.
Okay.
So,
Just so we're planning on not taking advantage of that for our immediate community right here.
Since we hadn't done anything that directly impacted citizens and students in the community with these funds yet, that's what I was bringing to the board,
Okay.
to try to, make an impact in that area before we raised our own hand again and said, we'll reimburse ourselves for salaries. That's kind of frankly, that's my fallback plan.
I can't recall what Springboro did,
$100,000.
They did 100,000 for the school.
but how about for the businesses in the community where I was headed? I think they capped it at $5 grand, sticks in my
They
mind.
did the first time, and then the second time here, I think they're capping the individual request at $20,000. Yep. And they're tying it to, I don't think it's an exclusive thing, but it looks like they're tying it to, job creation. Up to $5,000 per employee hired per business, up to a maximum of $20,000.
That's good. Okay.
So that is what the city is doing, and, with the board's guidance, I'd be glad to develop something of the same tenor.
Yeah, I think determine how much you're going to have for the business community and develop something like that.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to see one business get the majority of it, kind of make sure it gets split up, I'm sure.
Sure.
I don't have any formula for that, so whatever you think, do what you do. Okay.
We need to move quickly, right?
Yes,
Because
we
we're
do.
gonna get this distributed by
Yeah.
November.
We did.
By the 1st of November.
Thankfully, Senate Bill 357 pushed the deadline back from October 15th to November 20th, is it, Russ?
right back.
November 20th, so it bought us about 30.
Okay, great.
Still need to get it done, though,
We do.
get
We
the
gotta move
deals
quick.
done, and we have to actually expend the money by December 20-something,
The eternal deadline's about mid-December, you gotta
Yeah.
send it back by December 20th.
Right. I need a few days to make sure that the money gets there.
Okay. Well, do you want to put a final proposal together for the next meeting, or do we need to have a special meeting to do that?
We can put a final proposal together.
We don't want to run out of time, that's for sure.
No, I understand.
Whatever you, okay.
Do we want to go ahead and give him percentages? Just keep it with the household, number of households, whether it be
I think I would.
90% and
I was gonna say, Springfield's 92% of the total.
92 and 8% and one, or, what?
Yeah, I'm just scratching numbers together. If we go that low, it's gonna be next to nothing that goes to Wayne. So my thought was if we're gonna do 300,000, we'd do 250 at Springboro, 35 to 11, and 15 to Wayne. It's not totally proportional by household, but it's representative of, without being insulting. I mean, if we just did straight percentage, we'd be giving Wayne $4,000.
Yeah, that was kind of my concern, that
Right.
you don't wanna make it as.
But it is what it is as far as that goes. But that's my thought, Steve. I agree we should give him some direction, to get that moving. But, balance it out a little bit to make it look a more substantial give to all three. That would be how I was. Because it's 92%, 6%, and,
2.
just under 2, yeah, so.
Okay.
put something together, that'll be good.
I will do so.
Great.
Thank you for the direction.
Sure.
Did you connect with the SCAC and the food pantry?
I have not yet, no. I assume I need to reach out to Wendy.
I gave her your number,
Okay.
your cell number, so I'll make a phone call.
Okay, anything else under staff update?
No, not at this time.
Anybody else have anything? Okay. Anything else, gentlemen? Okay, hearing nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks.